History is often remembered through iconic battles: Stalingrad, Normandy, Midway. But what about the largest, longest, and most significant battle of World War II's early years? A colossal clash involving over 1 million soldiers that fundamentally changed the course of the war in Asia. This is the story of the Battle of Wuhan in early 1938. The Imperial Japanese Army was on a roll. They had captured Shanghai and then the Chinese capital, Nanjing. Their high command believed one more decisive blow would shatter Chinese resistance and end the war. Their target, Wuhan. Why Wuhan? Picture a map of China. Wuhan sits right in the heart of the country, at the strategic confluence of the mighty Yangtze and Han rivers. In 1938, it wasn't just a major industrial and transportation hub, it was China's temporary capital. The government, military command, and cultural elite had all moved there for Japan. Taking Wuhan meant cutting China in half, severing its supply lines, and forcing a surrender. It was the ultimate prize to achieve this. Japan assembled a formidable force, around 300,000 elite troops from its central and North China. Front armies. They were backed by a powerful air force of over 500 planes and a naval fleet of more than 120 warships sailing up the Yangtze. They expected a swift victory. They were wrong, facing this onslaught. China, under the leadership of Chiang Kai-shek, made a stand. They mobilized an unprecedented force of around 1.1 million soldiers. This wasn't just the central government's army. It included forces from various regional leaders, all united against a common enemy. Their strategy was brutal but necessary, trading space for time. They knew they couldn't stop the Japanese advance indefinitely, but they could make them pay for every inch of ground. The goal was to bleed the Japanese army, drain its resources, and buy precious time to move industries, government, and military assets further inland to the mountainous southwest. The stage was set for a battle of epic proportions, fought across a massive front stretching hundreds of kilometers. The fighting unfolded along three main axes. To the north, around the city of Xinyang, Chinese defenders held off the Japanese advance for over a month in brutal positional warfare. To the south, the battle for the city of Zhejiang turned into a horrific meat grinder, with both sides suffering immense casualties. But the main event was along the eastern front, following the path of the Yangtze River. Here, the Japanese combined their naval, air, and land power in a relentless push. Chinese forces fought back with everything they had. They used river gunboats and coastal artillery to duel with the Japanese fleet. They built extensive networks of trenches, bunkers, and fortifications to slow the Japanese mechanized columns. One of the most famous engagements leading up to the main battle was at Tyres Hong. In the spring of 1938, Chinese forces managed to encircle and decisively defeat two elite Japanese divisions. This victory, the first major one of the war, sent a shockwave of hope across China and proved that the Japanese army was not invincible. It was a massive boost to national morale just before the even greater struggle for Wuhan began. As the summer of 1938 wore on, the fighting grew more intense. The Japanese, frustrated by the stubborn resistance, unleashed their air power. Wuhan was bombed relentlessly. Day and night, sirens wailed as bombs rained down, turning factories, homes, and cultural landmarks into rubble and causing horrific civilian casualties. Yet, the will to resist did not break. The Chinese military employed a mix of tactics. They fought from fixed positions, engaged in mobile warfare to strike at the enemy's flanks, and used guerrilla tactics to harass Japanese supply lines. The sheer scale of the defense was astonishing. Soldiers and civilians worked together, digging trenches and building defenses. Often under direct fire, the battle became a symbol of national unity, a desperate struggle for survival. After grueling months of non-stop combat, the Japanese forces, despite their heavy losses, finally closed in on Wuhan by late October 1938. With the city almost completely encircled and its strategic value diminished, the Chinese command made the difficult decision to withdraw. Wuhan fell, on paper. It was a Japanese victory, but it was a Pyrrhic one. The cost was staggering. The Japanese military suffered around 140,000 casualties, a massive drain on their experienced manpower and resources. The Chinese losses were even more devastating, estimated at around 400. 0 soldiers. But China had achieved its strategic objective. Japan's dream of a quick victory was shattered. They had captured Wuhan, but they had failed to destroy the Chinese army or force the government to surrender. The war, instead of ending, now bogged down into a prolonged stalemate. This was the turning point. Japan was now stuck in a massive, unwinnable war of attrition in the vastness of China. This bought China the one thing it needed most: time. Time to move its government and vital industries to the new wartime capital of Chongqing, deep in the Sichuan Mountains. Time to consolidate its defenses and prepare for a long war. And time to gain international support. The world was watching. The heroic and costly defense of Wuhan demonstrated China's unwavering determination to fight on. This resolve convinced powers like the United States and Great Britain that China was a worthy ally in the growing global struggle against fascism. Aid, which had been a trickle, began to flow more freely. China was no longer fighting alone. Its struggle was becoming part of the wider conflict that would soon be known as World War II. The Battle of Wuhan effectively tied down nearly 1 million Japanese troops, preventing them from being used in other theaters, like Southeast Asia or against the Soviet Union. Today, the Battle of Wuhan is remembered as a pivotal moment. It marked the end of Japan's rapid advance and the beginning of a long, grinding war that would ultimately contribute to its defeat. It showcased the incredible resilience and unity of the Chinese people in their darkest hour. Memorials in Wuhan and across China stand as silent tributes to the hundreds of thousands who fought and died, ensuring that this monumental struggle, which shaped the fate of a continent, is never forgotten. Thank you for watching. If you found this dive into a lesser-known chapter of history interesting, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more. See you next time.